Welcome to There Must Be More, a Bethel Ottawa podcast. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube at Bethel Ottawa and follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify podcasts.
Yes!
Woohoo! I'm Sarah.
I'm Rob. This is our very first episode.
First one. Are you excited?
I'm actually really excited.
Me too.
Because we're going to be talking about all things faith. Mm-hmm. We are going to be talking about some difficult things and some
real.
celebrations. Like, this is a journey. It's a crazy journey.
Yeah, but the best.
Yeah, and we're meant to go through it together.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to do this thing alone.
No, it's so important.
Yeah. So that is what we're going to do. But let's start off, because I'm not going to assume that everybody who is either watching or listening
knows who we are.
Yeah. So who are you?
Okay, well, my name is Sarah, like I said. I work here at Bethel. Mm-hmm. I'm the kids pastor, and I've been here for just over a year, like a year and a bit-ish.
Yeah.
And so I'm originally from Toronto. Ooh. Shout out to the Six, my people who are listening from the
All right,
Six.
let's shout it out.
Shout it out. And yeah, I'm 29. I love to read.
Yeah, you like long walks on the beach.
I like, here, listen to my dating profile. I'm 29. I'm just kidding. I love to read. I like to drink tea. I don't drink coffee. So there's like a tidbit that you probably don't like about me, because everyone loves coffee. Everyone's like, what's wrong with you?
Just 1 second.
Oh, he's sipping his coffee as we, okay, dramatic. We have to get that in there.
Yeah.
And so I'm like newly to Ottawa, but I'm loving it. Mm-hmm. And I just love the Lord. And I love that we're like doing this, because I just think having like real conversations about the Lord is just important. So that's a little bit about me.
100% agree.
Okay, what about you, Rob?
So I am Robert Allen Olson.
Oh.
I was nicknamed Rubber Tree Ironside when I was a child.
Wow.
But don't ask me what that means.
Okay,
because it really means nothing.
We'll skip past it.
Okay, we'll skip past that. I'm the church ministries pastor at
you
Bethel
are.
Ottawa. We're going to have to skip past that too, because don't ask me what that means either.
You do a lot. There's a lot of like moving parts to your job.
There's a lot of moving parts.
It's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. But we have an amazing team, like an amazing team at this church.
That's why I stayed.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that's why we can come up with fresh ideas and desires and creative things like doing this podcast today that we will do to hopefully reach out to people.
Yep.
I don't have a dating profile because I'm married.
Love that.
And I have 4 children, and they range from like 15 to 3.
Yeah, look at you.
3 girls and 1 boy. I had no say in that, but like having 3 girls is like, oh my goodness.
Girl dad.
I'm going to have a lot of periods that are difficult. I'm probably going to buy a shotgun.
No.
And a rocking chair.
Yeah.
And a robe.
Yeah.
And just sit out there for like 10 years.
You're going to have to, because your kids are gorgeous. All of them, even Sam, gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, they're pretty awesome. They got their mom's looks.
Hey.
But I'm super excited to do this too, because we need to have real conversation.
Yep.
We need to talk about things that are difficult.
Yep, absolutely.
But like not just hang out there. I don't want to just hang out in the world of difficult, because I believe that there's victory in this life.
Yeah.
And I think that both me and you would be considered like middle of the road kind of people. And there's a really loud left and there's a really loud right.
Yep.
And to me, those are the ditches.
Yeah.
And
we got to get out of there.
We do. We need this
dig
middle
out.
of the road where there's reasonable conversation that
Yeah.
we can have about all types of issues, right?
Issues.
So
Yep.
I'm just really excited for what we are going to do.
Me too.
So we're going to get right into this.
Let's do it. Let's get into it.
So we are at our church right now in the year of impact.
Yes.
Okay, I love.
That is when Pastor Peter came to the staff and said, this is going to be the year of impact. Like all of us collectively were like, yes, like we love that.
Yes.
It's so important. And that's such a big, like it sounds like a broad topic.
Right.
But this is why we have the podcast, because we're going to dive into impact and what that means, what that looks like.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know how we're going to do that today?
Tell us.
We are going to talk about how God has impacted your life. Sarah Colantonio,
that's right.
How has God impacted your life? Can you share your story?
Yep.
Because it's a cool one.
Okay, well, how much time do we have? No.
About 20. No.
Just can't put a cap on God. I'm just kidding.
That's right.
Okay, where do I begin? How has God impacted me? Okay, so I grew up in a Christian home. Mm-hmm. So my father is a pastor.
I'm already into not just
fine.
a Christian home,
an
an Italian Christian home.
I'm Italian. If you can't like, if if you're
about
watching
it.
this, like my hands are like you could tell. If you're just listening, it's fine. I'm Italian. Anyways, so yeah, I grew up in a Christian home. My father's a pastor, still is, has been like my entire life. Like I like say I was like birthed like in like a church pew because I just like, as long as I can remember, I just grew up in church. And so my relationship with church has sometimes been complicated because being a pastor's kid, I felt like there was so much pressure on me. And I know like if you're a pastor's kid and you're listening to this, you can somehow relate to it. I think like it's very relatable. I just felt like I was always being watched and like pressure was put on me, and that like shaped a lot of my personality traits that were like not always the healthiest. Like people pleasing, and I was like a little bit of a doormat for a little bit, but I got a backbone now, so it's all fine.
That's
in the Lord,
for sure.
So God was never far away from me, but he wasn't real to me because I didn't experience him until later on in life. So yeah, you want to cut in?
I want to unpack that.
Yeah.
Because that's interesting. God wasn't far from me.
Yeah.
But you weren't experiencing him?
Yeah. So
how do you know he was like what?
I just always believed what I was taught.
Okay.
Like, and my dad would always say like, he's with you all the time. Like when you go to school, when you go, like my dad would come and pray for me every night before bed. Like I would lay in bed. He would come like tuck me in. Like we would pray together. And I remember asking him when I was probably like 7, I was like, how did God get here? Like, and he was kind of like, he just appeared. And I was like, what do you mean? And I'm thinking like Disney. I'm like, like the genie or something. Like he just.
What do you need? What do you need?
Yeah, you ain't never had a friend like me, which is like true. But so I was just like, what? So I always was taught like he's here and he's with you. He just is. And I always believed that, but I didn't experience it. And so I went through like all of my high school believing in God, but not living for God. And like kind of classic case in some instances. But yeah, then when I was 16, 17, a friend of mine passed away by suicide. And I was like, what is happening? Yeah, we're getting into it.
Whoa.
Rob's face was like, oh, we're going here. And then a year later, 2 of my other friends died in a very, very tragic train accident. Like I was living in Montreal at the time because my father was a pastor, so we bounced around a lot. But and I just remember being like, there's got to be more. And like, whoa, this podcast is called There Must Be More. And whoa, God, okay. So I just remember thinking.
That was not planned.
That was not planned, if you could tell.
Wow.
No, it really wasn't. Like, it wasn't. And I just remember being like, I know you're here, but like, there's got to be more. And I was in my bedroom, 17, and I was just crying because I just felt like, what's happening? Like 3 friends gone. I'm only 17. Like, why did this happen? There's so many questions. And I think part of our faith journey is like, we don't always get the answers. And like, that's a hard pill to swallow, but that's part of like the mystery of God. But anyways, so I was I'm all over the place.
Nope,
I was in my
Wow.
bedroom, 17, crying. And I said like, God, like, I just really want to experience you, and I don't know what that looks like. I just know that I want it. And I felt, honestly, like physically felt like 2 arms wrap around my body, gave me a hug, and I felt like being rocked side to side to side to side like that. And then from then on, I was like, I know that was like the Holy Spirit. Like, I know. And so then I said, like, I'm going to live for you, like, the rest of my days, because, like, life is meaningless. Like, there's so much more. My life is meaningless without you there.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then since I was like 17, then I was really like committed to Jesus.
So like when I said this is an amazing story, I actually didn't know, and I'm floored right now.
Yeah, I kind of like sprung it on
Wow.
you. Yeah.
Oh wow. So like we should have probably led with my story because like
Stop.
this is deep though. Like
This is what we're here for.
absolutely it's
Yeah.
what we're here for.
Totally.
So like dealing with loss like that, and that's 2 different types of loss, both of them being shocking.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go down a road here that I
Okay.
had no idea I was going to go down.
Okay.
But how do you feel that those 2 moments of loss have affected how you see the world? If that's too big of a question.
No,
like-
that's a really good question. How did that affect how I see the world.
Yeah.
I think that is what made me love people so much.
Oh yeah. I was kind of wondering, because you do. Like you can
I do.
see
Yeah,
it.
I love people.
Absolutely.
I don't always like them.
And like all types of people.
Yeah.
And like your
From
desire
all
to
over.
love them.
Yeah, I think what the biggest, for me, my conviction is the biggest way that I can witness to somebody and show people who Jesus is how I treat people and how I love them. And like, that's gospel. Like, and like, hopefully we'll dive deeper into this like eventually.
We will.
But experiencing those loss and that loss made me just realize people are hurting.
Yep.
And like, maybe we don't know about it, or, you know, maybe they don't want to talk about it, like, especially in a church setting, like it could be a little taboo. We're getting better. We are getting better, but still. So that just impacted my love for people. And then that is all, like, it's all under the umbrella of who Jesus is anyways. It's like, once I'm committed to him, I'm then committed to other people. So that loss made me just like love people in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like, I just want to like jump on this because like, I feel like you hit it on the head with like, I have this vision of when I see Jesus. Yeah. Right. And I'm sitting with him.
Tell us.
And when he's not going to me, like, how many people did you let know about their sin? Right. I really feel like, and this is just me in my creative imagination as I'm meditating on who God is and being in his presence. Okay. Yeah. But I just really feel like me and him are going to get together and he's going to be like, I want to talk to you about all the cool things that you did through me. Yeah. Right. And like, we're going to sit down and have this amazing conversation. And I don't feel like in that conversation, he is going to say, well, you loved them well, but you didn't point out enough sin. Yeah. Right? Like, I don't think he's going to say, you know, why didn't you point out more sin? Yeah. He's going to say, you love those people. He said, thanks for loving my sheep. Yeah. Like that's, and if I'm wrong, I don't know, he'll tell me. He'll tell me. He's got grace for me.
I have the same belief. If we're wrong together. Because I have a very similar belief in that as well.
And in that, like, it's not that I don't want people to be free from sin.
Of course.
But I really believe that the Holy Spirit can do that. Right? Yes. Like, I really believe for people that if you're chasing after Jesus, and I tell people this, like, if you're chasing after Jesus, expect him to transform all parts of your life.
There's this really great quote. I think it's Billy Graham. Okay. And he says, it's our job to love. It's God's job to judge and the Holy Spirit's job to convict.
Absolutely.
And like that's.
And often we like to try and take the reins and be the general manager, right? And like, don't worry, God, I got this. I'll make sure they know.
Yeah. I'm gonna be the one to tell them.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that went off on a good. Yeah. Sorry. Definitely. No, it's not your fault. That was definitely a part of this crazy, amazing story. So you've come back to Jesus. How old were you?
17.
17 when you came back?
Yep.
How much time was there sort of when you weren't following?
I would say probably like when I was like 10, I was like going to church and stuff, but like it wasn't serious to me.
I actually think that's key. Yeah. Because I do think we think that kids are lost much later than they are. I think that we think that in their teenage years.
Kids is so important.
But I think, yes, like I know for me, I was gone well before my teenage years. Yep. The teenage years is just
everyone's like, oh, the teenagers, they're out. It's like, well,
you were out. I was
out before.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that'll be a part of my story. But whatever. Yeah. So you've come back to the Lord and you said, like, I'm going to give you everything. Yeah. Like, what did that mean to you when you said it?
When I said it, I think really just like my plans. Because at 17, you're like getting ready to go to college, getting ready to figure out like what's next. And so I just said like, yeah, I'll give you everything. And really like just my life. It's like, use me how you want to use me. I don't really know what that looks like. I had like expectations, of course. Okay. And I always said, never gonna pastor. You too? Oh my gosh.
I gave him 3 things I wouldn't do.
Yeah?
I said, I don't want to marry a Christian girl. I said, I don't want to pastor, and I don't want to ever speak in tongues.
And ooh!
Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah. And God's like, LOL, laugh out loud. Yeah. Good, nice try. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Oh, that's so funny. That's hilarious. Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna unpack that.
I know. I'm sure later.
Yeah. So I just said, I said, give you everything, but I'm never gonna be a pastor.
So
never gonna be a pastor. Yeah. But when I was young, I always loved kids. So I knew I would work with kids. Like I remember I was just enamored with kids. I don't know, like I just felt that. And so then I went to school for like education, early education. And that's great. I was not satisfied at all because I knew that God was telling me there must be more.
There must be more.
And I was like, oh, like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm saying, like, God, I give you everything, but yet I'm like, but not.
Except
like,
what I'm going to hold on to.
Except I'm going to hold on to this.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, maybe I'll, like, get my feet wet and, like, I'll do missions.
Right.
And so on a whim, I was, like, going to Cuba with some friends.
Mm-hmm.
The morning of week before my flight, I applied to this program called ISM, and actually Pastor Peter and Pastor Sandra headed that up. So that's how I know them originally. And I'm about to get on my flight, and I get an email saying, like, I've been accepted to the program.
Nice.
So I was going to go to Thailand for a month to do training, and then I was in the Philippines for 4 months. Yeah. Anyways, so when I was in the Philippines, I was like 21 at that point. So we jumped from 17. I was like doing my you were
kind of giving God some of your stuff.
Kind of giving it, kind of not. Like, but I would say like 90%.
Yeah,
and then I was like, pastoring, it ain't me.
Yeah, for sure.
So then I was in Asia, Southeast Asia, which is just like a beautiful country, but like they need love. And I was like working with kids, and I was like, yes, like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit more satisfied. Like, this is like giving me life. Like, I'm excited to do this, whatever. And then I get back to Toronto after my, time there. And there was a position that needed to be filled for a kids pastor. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'll do it for a year. I have a theme going. Said, I'll do this for a year. Yeah. Like, I love kids. I love the church. Yeah. And it was my dad's church.
Okay.
So that had its own thing.
Yeah.
Working with your dad, with a parent. And so, I said, I'll do it for a year. And then I was there for 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
and then that's where I came from Toronto to here.
Yeah.
I was at that church for 10 years. And so then God was like, no, this is like.
And you were approached to come here.
And I was approached to come here.
Yeah, because of
for
the
a year.
Relationship.
And I said, I'll come here. I'll come here for a year. I'm not joking. I said, I'll come here for a year.
And we'll talk in another 9.
Yeah. Yes. So that was like, that's what everything looked like to me. Amazing. Is I had to like give my plans.
Yeah.
And like, it's not easy. Like, surrender is not easy.
No.
But like, one thing I've learned is like obedience is going to get me farther than any gifting I have, than any connection I have, than anything I do. Obedience is going to get me where I need to go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost the difference in the intelligent quotient and the emotional quotient. Mm-hmm. Like knowing that you need to be agile, right? So that God can come in and do what needs to be done and send you where you need to go. Yeah. Is a different level than your talents and your gifts.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
One thing that I want to clarify too, because I kind of in tongue in cheek made it sound like you were being disobedient, but like.
I was for a minute. I was like, nah.
So
God,
sort of yes and no, but
Yeah.
I think it's fair for people to think a certain way about their future and be mistaken, and that's not disobedience.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like I could be right now like, God, you can send me anywhere, but I'm not going to be a garbage man.
Yeah.
But then he could show me 3 years from now, like my calling is being a garbage man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, so,
and that's not disobedient.
And that doesn't mean I
agree.
was like, so I don't want people to have like this weight on them.
Yes.
To worry about every turn if they're being disobedient or not, because I think we can put those weights on ourselves.
Yes. And God is so much bigger than you and me.
And has so much grace.
To think that we are like controlling the narrative, to be like, oop, I missed that opportunity, so I guess that's not the call that God has for me. It's I've like, ruined it all. Like, how important do you think you are?
That's actually one thing I love to say. I love to say, like, you're just not that important.
You're just not important.
Like, honestly,
it's like you're important to God, but like you're just not like you're not switching his plans.
For
like
people who are like, I'm not forgivable, like I'm like, you're just honestly not the one person who can't be forgiven.
Yeah.
Like you're not that person.
And it's not in God's character to then just turn around and be like, everybody except that guy in the corner, forget him. You know, like that's not God.
Exactly.
You know, that's not. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so I do want to get into now.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you've been in ministry for 10 years or whatever you've been in, 11 years, 12 years, 42 years.
Long
How
time,
long?
Dude.
Yeah, right. So how is God like? And we are talking impact. So God obviously impacted your life to the point
hugely.
where you went overseas and you ended up giving a long time to children's ministry, moving to Ottawa for children. How is he impacting your life right now?
Ooh, this is a great question.
Right?
Again, it's
I
like,
love
oh my
that. I
God,
love that
man.
you did that because I'm going to bring this out. Anytime we ask, anybody says the statement, that's a great question. And you better be thinking now because I'm helping you with the time, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to buy time. When anybody says, "Oh, that is a
Fantastic question,"
they're
like
actually thinking how to
calculating
answer that.
I was like calculating, thinking like, okay,
absolutely.
what am I going to share? What am I not going to share?
So no one is ever going to be able to watch or listen to our podcast
without
now.
being like, oh, that person's buying, like, I guess is buying time now.
Yeah,
it's like
totally.
they definitely are, and I still am.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, go.
No, okay. So how is God impacting me now? I would say He is impacting me. I'm trying to be better at like recognizing Him in like the ordinary, like every day. And since I've made that like conscious decision and effort, because like it takes a lot of like rewiring, because we're so busy, focus on like, this is what I have to do at work. This is what I have to do with kids, like whatever. And so since I've made that like effort, I've realized that He's impacted my relationship with people.
Yeah.
Like strangers, like people, like, so for example, I was in my building and in my apartment, I'm going on the elevator and there's this girl's always at the front desk and she's like so sweet, so beautiful. Every time I see her, I'm like, you're so gorgeous. Like I try to hype her up because like, why not? She's stunning. And so she chased after me in the elevator. She goes, I was at Starbucks today and I bought you this because every time you see me, like you make me feel so good about myself and like I need that. And then, so we were like in the elevator and then we have a coffee shop in my building. And she was like, do you think maybe like we can get coffee?
Yep.
And I was like, for sure. And then I did. And she was going through like a really, really hard time. And I ended up like setting her up with somebody and got like, but like, if I don't make that effort to be like, you know, God, like I want to see, who can I love in my like everyday, that He's impacted that because I've asked Him and I'm being open to it.
Exactly.
So that's, I would say right now, that's what He's doing.
That's brilliant because we often, I think, overlook, don't get to see, are blinded to eternal moments and the miraculous when we don't look for His presence in all things. Also, asking Him to be a part of how we respond, how we speak, how we like try and
people.
Fill people's lives, right? And that is tremendous impact. The church needs to remember, and this isn't trying to be judgmental.
Yeah, no. We love you, but
one person, impacting one person. If each of us did that, that is amazing.
Yeah. Like imagine, like, so whatever, let's say we have like 600 people here at church, okay?
And we all impact one.
And we all impact one. You just doubled eternity because of how you love people.
And what did you do? Did you go up and yell, "Hey, sinner"?
Yeah. Well, like she's telling me her life and like she's going through it, but I wasn't like, this is what you did wrong and this and this. I'm not like waving a finger at her. Like, no, I'm going to give you a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows then either what seeds you plant, what God's going to do in the future.
You never know.
You don't know.
And that's not up to you.
No.
Like we're not the Savior. We're not Jesus. We're not the Messiah.
No,
like
we showed that we're not
I wasn't
so good
born.
at it.
Yeah, no, I wasn't born in a manger and like
no,
miraculously like whatever.
no.
Like that's Jesus's job. Our job is just to like be that bridge for
And
that.
so those moments for you, I mean, must happen not just there though, right? As you show or as you try and connect with God on this personal level. It probably shows up with kids, right?
Yeah.
And the relationships you build there, or with parents,
Yeah.
or maybe on something like a podcast when you can share that and somebody hears that. Here's your story.
Yeah.
Says, I had a friend who took their own life as well. And wow, look at this journey, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just the opportunities that He gives for you to have impact will grow and grow.
Yeah. And I think that's also like the impact of sharing our stories.
Huge.
Like sharing our stories is so impactful. I mean, it's in the Bible, like, you know, talking about our testimony and the importance of that. But, you know, we're talking about impact. And it's like, that's the easiest way you can impact someone is like sharing your story.
Absolutely. And then listening.
And yes.
Listening to people's
Active
stories.
listening.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Listening to someone's story. Here's a practice for everyone out there.
Ooh,
when you ask somebody how they're doing and they go, good, ask them this. Really? Is that true? And see what happens.
Yeah. Or I say like, what's so good?
Yeah, exactly. Like just take it
what's so
that
good?
one little step further.
Yep.
And it can change someone's day.
Yep.
And if you can change someone's day, you don't know what you're changing in their life.
Yep. So good.
So good.
I love
okay.
that.
I want to kind of like, how long have we been, producer Shannon?
We got time.
Okay.
Okay.
We don't want to go super, super long. So why don't we wrap up with one final question?
Okay.
What are you hopeful for? You know, for God in you and impact for the future.
Oh my gosh.
I know that's
For
not the question I actually gave you.
Okay. So for God in me.
God in you.
Yep.
And your impact. Like him impacting through you in the future.
Me.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
What are you hopeful for?
Hopeful for? I'm just hopeful that I just continue to like grow on a personal level, like just closer to God. And like I'm close to him, but like we're never close enough. And we're never going to get there either. Like, so if you're like listening to this and you're like, I'm close to God, like, yeah, we're never going to get there until like we're in heaven.
You could be closer. Like
You could always be closer.
And if you're loving it, you can love it even that much more.
Yes.
Like,
yes. Like there's no ceiling, right?
can I just say something to that?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No.
But
I love it.
whenever I run into people, I never find that it's the ones who are crazy in love with God who don't want any more of him.
Yep.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the ones who are like already like ignited that they're like, oh, but I need more.
Oh, I need more.
Yeah.
I need more. I
Yes.
need more. It's usually
Supposed
the
to
ones
consume.
who are like, now I'm good.
Yeah, they need more.
Anyways, okay. So,
We all get there. It's fine.
Oh, for sure.
And then impacting
judgment.
through me is I just want to love like whatever community I'm in. So whether that's like my church community, my friend community, like outside the four walls is a big deal to me. For the future, I just want to represent Jesus well and properly because there's a lot of misrepresentation of who Jesus is. And like, that's not my weight to carry. But what I can do is show people who Jesus really is. Anyways, so
that's really good to say. That's not your weight to carry.
It's not my weight to carry. I can care, but I can't carry it. Right? So my impact is just like, I just want to love my community well. And I want that to shape like their life and their view on who the Lord is. That's what I want.
So good.
Yeah? Is that
Yeah.
okay? Okay.
No, that's so good. So let's just wrap up.
Yeah.
This has been really cool. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah,
There's
thanks for listening,
and
everybody.
it was really transparent.
Yeah, I really like dumped. I was like, well, this is it.
Yeah, but you also dumped, and then we go to the victory side too, right?
Yes.
Like there's victory.
There is. So like, that's, okay.
Go.
That's what like Jesus is. Like, there's always hope. Even when it doesn't feel like it. Like our thing is called There Must Be More because there is more. Yeah. Even when you're like, you're going through it, loss, anxiety, depression, whether you're just not feeling God, like you're just not feeling it, that's okay. Like dealing with all these things, and like we'll talk about your story too, like going through everything, like is okay, but there's always hope. So like we can lament on it, but we don't stay there.
We don't stay there.
Yeah.
I actually want to leave it there because I don't want to try and add to that. That's the perfect way to end this with hope.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah?
So much hope.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us.
Yes.
I hope that this brought some life to you today. If you want to engage, you can jump into the comment section.
Yes.
We just ask that you be respectful of
Be
people in there. Yeah,
kind.
be kind.
Love one another.
Like we can be good in these comment sections. We can build each other up. That's what we are hoping for.
Yep.
But if you want more of this, you can connect with us on YouTube.
Yep.
And Spotify.
Yep.
And Apple Music.
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts.
And you
There we
can
go.
follow Bethel Ottawa on Instagram as well.
Absolutely. And you can come to our church because you're so
Because
welcome.
we love you.
Yeah.
We love you already. Mean it.
Absolutely.
We love you and we mean it.
Okay. So that's all. Have a really good day.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to There Must Be More Podcast, a production of Bethel Ottawa. You can catch us on YouTube, where we would love it if you liked and subscribed. You can also catch us on Apple Podcast and Spotify.